This is Dan Abbott, and I teach at Southern Maine Community College, and I'm making a video just to demonstrate a couple of techniques for both docking and leaving a dock on a small boat. This is an outboard engine boat. This is for the Seatime class for the Marine Science program. So what I have right now, I'm at a dock. I'm tied up with a single breast line. I'm using the Coast Guard technique for attaching a line to a cleat, which is to go around the cleat once, under each horn once, and then 2 figure eights and 2 wraps around the base with no locking hitch. I'm going to take it off, and here's the advantage of that. I don't need to bend over, get my fingers in that. I can do it even if I'm not near the cleat. I could be a substantial distance away and still be able to take the line off that cleat without having to engage my fingers or get off the boat. Coiling the line up just so it's not on the deck where I could trip over it. I'm going to hang it. Now what I'm going to do is leave the dock, and I'm starting by turning the wheel all the way to the left. You see the engine, and that pushes the stern away. Now this is a situation where I've got ample room in front of the boat. I've now turned the wheel so that I can back away all the way to the left again, going forward, and I'm just using the engine to maneuver the boat so I don't back into the boat that's behind me, and I don't go forward very far, and then I can pull the boat away like that. Don't drive a boat off a dock, generally. On occasion, you'll have the wind blowing you off the dock, and you can just sit there, let the wind blow you out into a position where you can then leave by driving ahead. But most of the time, what you're going to do is to back off a dock, not drive off a dock. Now I'm turning around, I'm coming back in, and what I'm going to do here is dock the boat. And I'm starting, and we're assuming now that we've got some wind, and that wind is not blowing us down, but it's blowing us off. If it were blowing us down, I would simply go sideways to the dock some distance away and let the wind push me up against the dock. That's the easiest way to dock a boat. I'm looking right now for that cleat right there, and so I'm pointing my bow right at that cleat, and I'm going to start to turn the boat. Now I'm doing this as though I had a tight space, so I'm going to get close to the boat behind me. I'm slowing the boat down by going in reverse. Now I'm moving in a little bit, turn the wheel to the right, and push the stern in till it connects here. Would have raised my fenders a little bit had I thought about it or had I realized it here. Now I'm also now making that up with the Coast Guard method. You can see how easy that is. Your fingers never get near the cleat, and you're able to do it from some distance away as well. Now we're going to leave the dock once again. Again, watch the motor. I'm turning it and going forward to push the stern away, and that moves the boat forward a little bit, but I do it until I get to a fender. When I'm far enough out, I can back up. I'm going to push the stern away a little bit again, like this. And this is a technique that you would use if, and I'm backing down now, if you had the wind blowing you on the dock and it was difficult. You can't just back away in a case like that because you might hit the boat that's behind you. You can't go forward very far if you've got a boat ahead of you. Now I'm going to come back in. We're going to do another docking. Again, my goal here, and I'm on the boat alone, so I'm trying to get the breast cleat on my boat lined up with this cleat right here. And I want that so I can just step over, reach over, and then put a line on it. You notice, by the way, I have the line coiled. So what I'm doing now is this. Oh, I want that breast line there, but I'm going to start with a stern line. And again, I'm getting blown off, and that's why the bow of the boat is swinging away. A lot of people in a case like this would try to get a bow line on first. It's the worst line to put on the boat in this situation. If I'm getting blown off, as long as I've got a stern line on, I can just walk over to the helm. I don't even need to turn the motor, but I do. Put it in forward, and I just sit there patiently waiting for the boat to just pull itself up. And that's the cleat that I was after. And if I didn't have the wind blowing me off the dock, I would have just gone right to the cleat and been able to cleat it off. In both cases, I wanted to make sure that I had lines available to me without having to start the whole process by taking a line apart. Now here, I've got a bow line, and this is when you really, I'm going to pause this just for a minute. This is when you really have a strong wind that is holding you on the dock. Not blowing you off the dock, but holding you on. A wind coming onto the dock And it doesn't matter exactly what the angle is. If it's holding you on the dock, it's holding you on the dock. The wind doing that makes it easy to dock the boat, but it makes it hard to undock. So what I'm assuming right here, I didn't have another boat to stick in front of this one on our floats. But you have the Seawolf here. There's not much space here. I can't back up very far. I can't just back out without doing something else, because I'd back into that boat. And I'm going to assume that the bow of this boat is very close to the stern or the bow of another boat that's just off camera. So what I'm trying to do here is to get that boat out without having it go forward very far. It's going to go forward a little bit, but it's not going to go forward very far, because I have a bow line that comes all the way back to the cleat on the dock that I then have just a turn and under each horn just to give myself a little more control. Now I'm going to control this from the helm. So I'm now again turning the boat into the dock. So you notice if I had a boat right up here, and I actually could have made that even tighter, it's going to hold the bow back, and I'm just releasing a little bit of line by just easing off on it here. I'm taking my time, and I'm pushing the stern away, but I'm keeping the bow in place. Now you notice we still haven't moved forward very far. So now, a little burst of speed there just to make it turn a little more. Now I'm going to turn the wheel all the way to the right, and now I'm going to start backing out. So I've moved no more than about a foot in the process of doing that. Now you got to let that run, so make sure there's no knot in it, and I'm just backing away until it runs out. I can stop at any point and come up and pull the line in, but I want to get far enough away. So now that line's in the water, but it's ahead of me. There's no danger of it getting into the prop, and I'll walk up, take the line, coil it, and put it in place. One other thing I wanted to cover here, as soon as I get that coiled up, I'll bring the boat in one more time. While I'm doing that, the ensigns I have on there, you may have noticed, are the national ensign, the American flag, the state of Maine official maritime ensign, which is not the same as the old-fashioned flag that people are talking about bringing in. It's an actual official ensign. Massachusetts has an official ensign, and Maine does, and that's it. Again, I'm targeting the cleat that I want at the middle of the boat, at the breast cleat. I'm going to start to turn. I'm still going forward. Now I'm going to pull the stern in a little bit. Now I'm going to go and drive the stern toward the dock, move the boat forward just a little bit, and you'll notice there wasn't a whole lot of room here. This takes a little bit of practice. It's very easy to do this and drive that right into the other outboard. But I didn't go forward very far, and again, I'm assuming there's another boat up here that's just off screen, so there's no danger of it's hitting it. Once I do that, I can walk over, take my breast line off of the cleat that I have it coiled on, wrap it around, and then make it up with 2 figure-8s. There's a second figure-8 around the base once, around the base twice, and the Coast Guard has tested that out. Let me pause that right there. The Coast Guard has tested that process. It holds every bit as well as putting a locking hitch in, but it can be done from the deck of a boat without having to get off the boat and get on the dock, and it also keeps your fingers away from the cleat. That's the only way the Coast Guard permits you to cleat a line to a cleat. In fact, if you were being trained and getting qualified as a boat crew member in the Coast Guard, if you put a locking hitch on a cleat, you would fail that particular task. What I'm doing right now is just showing a technique for coiling line that I really like. And I like it, and that's what I use in my boat. And the reason I like it is because I used to use the Chapman method, and if anybody's read Chapman, you know what that is. I used to use the Chapman method, but the problem with that is it's great if you know what it is and understand how to take it apart. But whenever I've had anyone on the boat who picks up a coil that was done with the Chapman method and who doesn't understand how it was, they always put a knot in the line when they take it apart. Win Pillsbury, so a friend of mine from sometime in the past, his wife's boating was all in the Great Lakes, and she had this method for coiling a line that she called the Great Lakes method. I was then able to adapt it a little bit at the suggestion of my wife, and it involves coiling the line into 2 separate coils. and then wrapping the coils, but not making up the final hitch the way that Chapman shows, and I'll demonstrate that here. So in just a second we're going to go directly into that. Alright, I've got my line. I'm just grabbing the line, equal lengths, and when I get to the point where I've got it all there, I'll pinch it in the middle, take the free end and just wrap it as many times as necessary, take a bite, put it through the top, and then lock it in place with the bitter end, leaving enough so that I can tie it off if I want, so that it's on the rail. Now when I take that apart, and if I hand it to someone to take apart, nobody has ever tied a knot in it.